Okay, let's welcome to the stage MaisieR, YnezH, Emma, and KajsaH. And audience first.
Okay, so this is a potential movie, so y'all are gonna pretend you are producers.
The producing studio.
The audience is YnezH Studios.
Who's the clicker? So, hi, I'm YnezH,
I'm KajsaH.
I'm Emma.
I'm MaisieR.
and this is How to Kill an Angel.
So, in 1930s Texas, a group of hunters who sell the corpses of angels to restaurants for consumption must evade a vengeful priest while resisting the temptation to kill other wrongdoers, an act that curses them with the maddening voices of the angels they slay.
And our theme is Western fantasy.
So, before anything, I made a quick little trailer, so hopefully it'll play.
Okay, so the formal How to Kill an Angel is the weapon used to kill the angel must be blessed by a priest, and to lure the angel, a good person must be killed. So angels descend only to guide virtuous souls to heaven, and the bodies of wicked are left to decay. And after killing, during the next sunrise, angels arrive to guide the departed soul, and the hunters must safeguard the body to confront the angel. If a hunter mistakenly kills a bad person, the spirit remains earthbound, haunting its slayer through voices.
So, our protagonist is Dakota, who, due to dire circumstances in his youth, was forced to kill someone, which leads to him hearing, like, the voices of the angry angels, I guess. He then spends most of his time in the wilderness running and hiding, later joining the gang called the Salma, who are angel hunters, to have another shot at life in a community that forgives him. The antagonist is the Reverend, all the way on the left, who is Mercy Goodwin, and he grew up in Mobile, Alabama, in the church, and witnessed Gunnerman, the other guy, killing an angel. He took it upon himself to spread his church's word after he heard of the hunting of priests in the area.
And the leader is in the middle. And the leader, Camaroma, he was a master from World War I. And after being discharged, he couldn't find any job and struggled financially. So he turned to angel hunters. And the doctor is Queen Sylvia. He was born to poverty and never received formal education. However, working on construction site where injuries were common and medical care scarce, he learned to care for illness and sickness.
Abraham Sotheby is the chef. He grew up in an isolated town that thought that killing animals was the equivalent to killing people, and so they had a lot of agriculture, but due to the weather, there was a lot of food shortages and people were always hungry, and Sotheby couldn't stand that, and so he decided to learn to cook, but it didn't really help, and so he decided to join the hunters, and he's a vital character to the selling and production of angel meat. And then Inez Gunnerman, or Gunner, that we call Gunnerman. He's the mechanic, and he was born off to a well-off religious family and grew up with the church. And he had affinity with the practices because he found an empathetic God fascinating. And when the head of his church died, he killed the angel that came down for him, thinking that he could revive him if he did.
And at the beginning of the story, a group of hunters called the Soul Hunters arrive at Adams Hill in San Antonio. And they are in San Antonio to kill innkeeper. And the leader, Gunnerman, and his friend Sylvia are getting ready. And Camaroma and Sophie join them, while Dakota wanders off as usual and seems detached from the mission.
So, our inciting incident is when Camaroma shoots the innkeeper and drags her body back to the gang's truck. They then depart immediately, heading for Castle Hills, where Gunnerman wants to get some bullets blessed so they can continue their work. In the church, we're introduced to the antagonist, the Reverend, who refuses to bless their bullets and asks Gunnerman to leave. Since they have complicated history, Gunnerman asks if he has a personal vendetta against him, but the Reverend chooses not to answer, instead threatening to call the cops on them if he does not vacate the premises. That night, Kamarama's on night watch with Dakota, because Dakota reasons he wouldn't have been able to sleep after the murdering of the woman anyways. Here, he expresses his intent to stay with the Salma hunters.
And the climax comes when the police arrive the next morning at dawn, just as the angel starts coming down. And Sullivan shoots at it while Gunnerman, driving, tries to lose the police through Castle Hill. The Salma, after having successfully lost the police, stop at a creek to bathe and dismember the angel. Dakota is put off by the birds and discusses angels with Sotheby.
Okay, in Act 2, they arrive in Houston, and they're taking the angel carcass to the hidden meat market, where the restaurant owner Madonna offers a lower price than usual due to an influx of angel meat. Sotheby thinks it's odd and proves that the meat is false by boiling it, and Madonna refuses to sell it even after she realizes because she needs her money. She doesn't have enough money to afford it. So Kamarama and Sotheby decide to hunt the scammer named Carlisle. And then, so now we're switching to, like, at the same time, Dakota and Sullivan. So Sullivan takes Dakota to the church sites in Houston, but Dakota refuses to enter any of the official sites. And so instead, Sullivan brings him to a neighborhood church in someone's home and forces him to pray. They run in with Reverend Mercy as they leave, who starts following them and chases them through the streets while calling for the police. The two are detained, but they never make it to the station as the police car swerves off the road and they run off.
In our trial number 2, Gunnerman goes to buy car parts to replace broken ones, and afterward he meets Reverend Mercy at the bar. And Gunnerman lies, telling the Reverend that he was a boundary hunter in Houston and looking for a scam artist named Caroline to bring him to justice. As the conversation continued, he realized that Reverend knows about the Salma hunters, so he goes into the bar and yells fire to lose the priest. And this makes them to decide to use Caroline as bat for the Reverend. However, Dakota doesn't like the idea because he doesn't want to take him out of the business without killing him. So he leaves and has to find Caroline to warn him to run.
So the climax comes when Dakota finds Carlisle in his kitchen just ahead of the Salma to warn him, but Kamarama breaks in with a shotgun. He says that if Dakota won't stop him in the way that only he can, he will himself ensure that Carlisle can never cook again. And Dakota argues against him, but Kamarama just hands him the shotgun and tells him to shoot. Dakota initially refusing, but eventually gives in, mercy killing Carlisle and worsening the voices.
So Act 3 starts with the darkest moment, where Sotheby goes back to the market and sells the angel meat to Madonna. The gang then drives along the coast towards Mexico in order to escape Reverend Mercy and the law. They stop along the way in Corpus Christi and dine well to celebrate getting paid. Here, as they converse, Dakota realizes that the gang treats hunting angels as a lifestyle more than a means to get by, and overwhelmed by the newfound voices and this realization, he decides to leave them. In the night, he steals ammo, rations, and Sullivan's shotgun, leaving on foot.
Right. So Act 3. The first night, Dakota's on his own. He tries to sleep, but is kept up by the voices, where he eventually gives in and tries to listen to them for the first time, but he gets up and continues walking. The second day, he passes through a small town known for its population of ex-convicts, and he feels the weight of the voices, but the town is indifferent and kind of understanding to him. He helps a one-legged woman take down her laundry from a clothesline, and she tells him that angels don't define character, people do. He starts believing that he isn't as bad or as crazy as he thought. For the first time, he's actually hopeful. He leaves the town that night. And the ending, caught just a few miles ahead of a hurricane, Dakota looks for shelter, enters a small bar on the side of the road. After some time, the door opens and in walks the Reverend. Dakota can't run, and the Reverend pulls out a gun. The bar breaks into chaos, and since Dakota can't bring himself to pull the trigger on Sullivan's gun, he runs outside with the crowd. The Reverend finds him, and with no struggle, shoots him. In his last seconds, Dakota sees an angel coming down from the clouds.
So, why we were interested in making this story, to be honest, I'm the one who brought up the idea, and it was because I was kind of interested in making a world where there existed some real measure of goodness.
And some memorable moments is like some challenges we faced was working with different classes, but at the end we were able to work out.
Okay, and our inspiration and influence was kind of like ethical farming, since like obviously it's not ethical to kill a human for angel meat. And so I think that was like our main inspiration.
And what we wanted the audience takeaway to be was like, you can still do good without being good, and vice versa. Dakota's still like a good person. I see like the angel coming down at the end, despite like all the stuff that he's done. And he's been given 1,000 opportunities to do bad, but we think that you need more nuance to judge morality. That's it. Questions?
So audience, just to remind you, you're producers. They're looking to, what is it, buy this idea, develop this idea. What's the action you want them to take?
Just develop it into a film.
Into a film, okay. So Western fantasy.
Okay.
I think your idea is super cool. One question I had is, I guess, what kind of, is this like something that is more like an animated film, or is it gonna have like actors? And then if it's actors, like what kind of people would you be looking for like these roles?
To be honest, I was in favor of doing an animated one, but MaisieR wanted to do live action.
I was thinking kind of like that it has kind of the same vibe as like The Outsiders. Like that's why we chose the YnezH Studios, because they are the ones who made Outsiders. I was inspired because we watched it on Broadway this year.
So that's Coppola Studio, yeah? Francis Ford Coppola. I think YnezH.
Yeah, that's what we said, right? Yeah,
Oh.
I think so.
So you said angel meat is desired for eating and consumption.
Yep.
Was this discovered by chance after the first killing?
Well, you'd assume that we try to eat everything.
Good point.
I'm interested in the allegorical meaning of this angel meat idea. So you had touched on in your reflection ethical farming, but can you say more about what's the deeper meaning of this? It seems like you've kind of created this story that's it has a wild idea. It seems to me to be kind of a symbolic system of sorts, right? Where we have a literal level of meaning, but then also the symbolic or figurative level of meaning. What is it that this angel meat really represents?
Initially, we were gonna go with like a more ethical farming, like central message, but we kind of veered away from that at the end. So that's why we still have that as like our inspiration. I still think that we're taking kind of the ethical farming problem and like just making it more extreme, with like the killing of people and treating them just so cruelly for money. So it's just like put yourself in the shoes of the animals, I guess.
And then it's also like the buyers who are like willing to pay such a high price to buy the meat itself, which is usually
Or
very
like exotic meat, you know.
Yeah.
In order to kill an angel, you have to kill a good person. Okay, that detail was lost on me, but that's an interesting.
So like how we set up was like we only wanted you to be able to kill good people to like just so bad people were like off the table, because or else you can kind of validate it. So for the good people, it's like you have to kill someone who you think is like, oh man, you've done a lot of good in your life, so I'll kill you for my selfish purposes.
What? So maybe I missed this, but suppose I do eat angel meat. How does it help me physically or mentally?
It like there's no benefit to it. It's just like it's taste, and then it's super expensive, so everyone wants to try it. It's just like
It's the same as any other animal,
It's
pretty
like,
much.
what is it, arowana, whatever it's called? Yeah.
Erewhon.
Like, I feel like you can see angel meat there. It's like super, like one strawberry is like $50. It's like that. Like it's just a strawberry, but just because of the price tag is so large, it's like worth something.
So for the film, would you imagine that it would follow, was Dakota the main character? Would it be like his perspective throughout the whole movie, or kind of like jump around between the characters?
Initially, we wanted to make it a novel, and just for fun, I started writing it. But it follows Dakota's character, but not through his thoughts or his ideals. So it doesn't follow any character in terms of that. We don't know what they're thinking.
Okay, we're just about out of time for today, but it's a really, really interesting and original idea. I love how your mind's changed about it so much throughout the process. It shows you really cared a lot about the project, and you thought a lot about it, and you put a lot of heart into making this piece, so and a lot of creativity. So thank you very much.